Okay, campers, boot campers, booters. I don't know. Terry, that was great. I think again in the handout there is going to be a couple of those last slides, and having done this both with clients in prior lives and doing it internally at organizations, it is that like neglected thing to sort of say, okay, we're going to go, we'll bring in consultants, we'll go get budget, we'll build this product, this app, and then it's like, holy crap, our team has no capability to write this content, to to write engaging tweets. Hey, I'm having a challenge with that right now with the team. It's not just filling 140 characters with letters, but you really want to make it readable. So I think part of this whole skill inventory is really critical. I would take a minute to read through and kind of look at your own organization with that. I think I know we had some internal discussions after Terry shared those slides, and there's a lot of good stuff there. I want to talk a little bit about platforms, sort of the whole content management piece to it. It was interesting. The great thing about polls is when we go, who's using a canned, commercial CMS, and it's like crickets. So a lot of this, in my mind, I was thinking it's probably 60-40 proprietary versus thing, and guess what? It's not. So some of these slides may look a little goofy, but I'm going to go through them in about 3 minutes, and we have I think speed dating and cocktails, and I don't want to hold those things up at all. But the basic premise is why the system you've been working with for the last 12 years probably won't be the one to really be able to drive your multi-platform needs. It's not set up for it. Most content management platforms, whether it's the commercial Adobes of the world or the system you guys have built in-house and then acquired 16 companies, and each one of those companies had their own system, and you kind of they talk to each other if you put a USB plug in one and copy a file to the other kind of thing. But those things aren't really designed to do it. Most of them are built, if you look at the simple evolution of man, right? Neanderthal, web in 93, iPhone in 2007, and then iPad, right? So how many of your systems, and I don't mean just improve, but really like major ground-up building happened after 2007? Larry, all right, you're the man. Woo! All right. All of the other ones, your systems are not designed to do it. And even if it was in 2008, most of these things, it was built to generate data to be pushed out to a web page or a website, or and then it was like, oh, we can bolt on mobile, right? We'll just do a little bit less. And an iPad, it's like, no. So that's one of the challenges, is looking at it. So you're either left with trying to figure out, we're going to build new systems for every platform. We're going to, create our web pages, and then downstream from that, we'll have something that takes that and pushes it out into a mobile. And then there's some new tools on the market to look at. But part of the challenge, right? So web content management platforms, whether it's the formal, the commercial ones or your own, were built for the web publishing workflow. Layout and design weren't really issues, right? You built some CSS files, and all they needed to do was write stories, and you upload an image over here, and you kind of do it. And it wasn't the idea of, hey, this headline is going to look different on a small device than a large device, and this image, and I need 16 different thumbnails of each image because I'm using them in different places. It was, I'm going to plop it on a web page or slap it into a printed page. So those things aren't there. The platforms are just changing. So usually there'll be some, like someone gets a brilliant idea. We'll get Drupal, Woohoo! Anyone other than me try a Drupal project that failed miserably because it just, if you, and I'm not here to knock Drupal, but, I have a good friend who's like, He's always sort of says friends don't let friends use Drupal, is one of his lines. But when you go to the Drupal site and you see what, go and always look and see what their clients, who their clients are, what are their big implementations. They list two as their sort of showcase clients, right? One of them is Twitter, and you're like, hey, that's pretty cool, Twitter's built using Drupal. I didn't know. Well, it's really the Twitter blog. It's kind of cool, Instead of using WordPress, they went with Drupal. I'm impressed. Yeah, free is free. The other one they list is the whitehouse.org, right? Who's been at the White House website in the last week or two or month or year or, whitehouse.gov, I guess, not org. I'm sorry. It's a nice, it's fine. They put up some content. They're not a big publisher. They're not using it. So Drupal's just not a production ready. And I think with any vendor you're looking at, it's like, let me see the mobile apps that have been built on your platform. I want to see those to kind of do it. They're not there. And again, your homegrown systems, we sort of talked about it a little bit in the earlier session. They're just not really set up and equipped to do that. I threw up some ideas here that are, kind of the categories to look at. Again, sort of looking at the commercial tools. You got, Adobe. You got Oracle bought FatWire. Adobe bought Day, which is now CQ. Autonomy bought Interwoven. Sitecore Limelight bought, I can't remember who it was now. They bought one of the cloud-based ones. None of them are really integrated yet to do mobile. They're still kind of web stuff. The open source guys, Alfresco's interesting, but it's more you can get EPUB out of it. You're not really getting, iOS. I don't know if I've not seen anything that's using Alfresco to build, to actually drive web apps. Mobile apps. You've got the emerging ones. I'm biased, having spent a year at CrowdFusion. But there's guys like Core Media, CrowdFusion, Methode. It's missing its little funny accent thingy. Which the Wall Street Journal runs on Methode, or the New York Post, one of them. Endplay. So there's these emerging companies that are out there trying to tackle this problem. How do you take a piece of content, push it out to multiple platforms? I would be looking at those and keeping an eye on them and see what happens there. And looking at it from a strategic point of view from a publisher, what I think the interesting thing to be doing is don't go in and say, I'm going to take my legacy stuff that I bolted together with 42 acquisitions and all these things, and I'm going to go and bring in one of these external systems and have them do the conversion and watch 2 CIOs get fired over the next 6 years for an 8-year project that never comes out of development. I know one large publisher who spent 7 years building their in-house system, launched it last year with two or three titles, and finally killed it this year. And said, after 8 years, don't try to move it all. Try to pick one. Don't try to, migrate everything. Build something new over here. Do a test case. If you're going to build anything on your old platforms, build APIs, right? Make your content really accessible, be able to get it out, but then build this stuff alongside it. Do a test case, make it work. Try experiment with some of the new guys. Is one recommendation I have, because they're going to be better. They're going to hire more skilled developers than you can. So try some of those commercial packages, test them out on new stuff. If it works, great. Then you start to migrate and sunset some of the old stuff. Eventually, you get new platforms. Use things that are open and where you can, not necessarily open source, but that are open and web service based, where you can kind of play with them and you can expand and grow and not be relying on them. But it's a time where there are no perfect products that say, here, bring this in and it rocks, it does everything you need. But start to experiment, and the commercial guys are going to be a little bit ahead of where you are, and the startups are going to be a lot ahead of the legacy guys. So it's an interesting time, but it's time to play around with some tools and sort of see how you can get these new things up. And now I guess cocktails or speed dating or speed cocktails? Okay.